Hello. The next song in the month is called Mirror or Window. And I wrote this song after reading a teaching in a book by T. Austin Sparks called Discipled Unto Prayer. And it's about Daniel in the lion's den. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be talking more about how Daniel's prayer life actually got him through the lion's den without freaking out. As a side note, Darius, who was the king whose edict actually sent Daniel to the lion's den, he was freaking out the entire time that Daniel was in the lion's den. But this is just not about Daniel praying for protection while he was in the den with the lions. It's more about how Daniel's vision, God-given purpose, caused him to pray out the window towards Jerusalem instead of just being focused on his own problems. That's the key to Daniel's lion's den survival, and it's the key to his whole life. And it can be applied to our lives as well. So stay tuned for more on the song Mirror or Window. Now you can hear this song on anywhere you listen to your music, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, wherever. And I'll also put a link below to my Reverb Nation page, and you can just click there and get the song. This is some more background on my new release, Mirror or Window. As I said in the introduction, God shared his purpose and his vision and his passion with Daniel. This was the driving force behind all that Daniel did, and God did use Daniel in a very powerful way. It's also the reason that he had peace in the midst of the lion's den. Here's a little of the story of the lion's den. King Darius, so he was tricked into signing a law that said that anyone who prayed or petitioned anyone or anything except him, the king, would go into the lion's den. Daniel 6 says this: "Now when Daniel knew that the law was signed, he went home, and in his upper room with the windows open towards Jerusalem, he knelt down on his knees 3 times that day and prayed and gave thanks to God, as was his custom since his early days." T. Austin Sparks says this: "The people of God and the city of God were what Daniel saw when he looked out the window. It was not a mirror he went to pray in front of. It was an open window. He did not see himself as the chief feature. He saw the divine purpose of God. It was something much greater than himself that carried Daniel through the lion's den." So we're going to talk more about this. In the meantime, songs available wherever you listen to your music, and there's going to be a link on this post that you can click and give the song a listen. Thanks. Hello. Continuing to talk about my latest song, Mirror or Window, which is based on Daniel looking out the window towards Jerusalem as he prayed. So why was he looking out the window? Well, God has always been seeking a people for himself. This is his divine purpose for earth. Leviticus says this: "Moreover, I will make my dwelling among you. I will walk among you and be your God, and you shall be my people." It's the main theme of the entire Old and New Testament. A people for God to relate to, a people for him to share his life with, a people for him to walk among. At the time of Daniel, Israel was considered God's people, and they were in Babylonian captivity. Daniel was consumed with God's people being released from that captivity and returning to worshiping God freely. Today, God calls his people the church, made up of Jew and Gentile from all generations, all places, and all races. A people where, as he said in Leviticus, "I will make my dwelling among you. I will also walk among you and be your God, and you shall be my people." God desires for his church to be a united force under one great head, Jesus Christ. Are we there? I think there's great work yet to be done, but there's also great hope. Like David, we can be consumed with this divine purpose of God by looking out the window instead of looking into the mirror. This is the last post on my new song, Mirror or Window. Looking out the window instead of staring in the mirror is a metaphor. I find that when I am focused on myself, I am anxious, I am depressed, I'm directionless, I'm a wreck. You might be able to relate to that. But just like Daniel, we're invited to be concerned with God's divine purpose. And the last part of the song says this: "A God who is bigger, a vision that's higher, more than self-interest, finding what is priceless. Heaven's revelation, God's highest thought for his son, a people to shine forth his glory, Christ's victory is won." As I said in the last post, today God calls this people his church. But polls show that many do not see the church as shining forth God's glory, But that's the point of this song. God is inviting us to be concerned about, involved with, even consumed with the restoration of the body of Christ. The church is meant to reflect God's glory, but that must come from a constant revelation of God's Son. But there's so much distracting the church from seeing him. So let's live with a vision that is higher, a purpose that is more than self-interest, and find out what is priceless in the eyes of God, and let's look out the window instead of staring in the mirror. Thanks.